Hi Prep 2, I wish your day is fine. Here we are together again with Aim High book. And today we're gonna start with Unit 4 of Aim High book. And as you can see on the screen, the title of Unit 4 is Body and Mind. And by the way, in your student book you can find a very exciting story of a man who's called the Memory Man. But before we start with the unit, we need to start with the revision part. And we can start with exercise number 1. Rewrite the following sentences using words between brackets, and you need to remember that you are asked to give us the same meaning. Number 1. I bought a second-hand car. It broke down 2 weeks later. And we want you to use which. So we can say that the right answer is I bought a second-hand car which broke down 2 weeks later. And here, number 2, the woman is my neighbor. She works at the post office. Can you use who? The right answer is the woman who works at the post office is my neighbor. Number 3, we stayed at a hotel. It was extremely comfortable. Can you use the word where? The right answer is the hotel where we stayed was extremely comfortable. And now we are ready to start with the new vocabulary of Unit 4. And we can start with these words. The first word is inspire. Inspire. And this is a verb which means to make someone want to do or create something. And we can say that we have an example for this verb. For example, we can say the principal's speech inspires us to study harder. Number 2, we can say number 2, achievement. Achievement, this is the noun of the verb achieve. And we can say, for example, Carmen received a prize for her outstanding achievement in the competition. So here, the word achievement means something that you have done successfully, especially through hard work or skill. Number 3, catapulted. So here, this word means to throw someone or something suddenly with a great force. And we can say that, for example, about this word, we can say, when John's bike hit a stone, he was catapulted onto the road. And that was with a great force. Number 4, we have this word, dull. Dull here means not interesting or exciting, but it's boring. So we can say that, for example, about this word, some people think that life will become very dull when they retire. All people think that when they retire and leave their work, life will be boring and dull. Number 5. Here, the word memorized. Memorized means to learn something so that you can remember it exactly. And we can go to this example. We have to memorize some vocabulary for the English exam. So the word memorize means to learn something so that you can remember it exactly. And the next word is knowledge. Knowledge here means information or the skills that you have gained through learning or experience. So knowledge means your information. For example, we can say that my knowledge of world geography is limited. So here, for example, my knowledge of world geography is limited. Next word, sandal. So here, this is a type of clock used in the past that uses the shadow caused by a pointed piece of metal being between the sun and the clock surface to show what time is it. So this is a type of clock used in the past. Next word is pantry. Pantry, and that word means a large kitchen cupboard. And for example, we can use this word in this sentence. Our kitchen is very cool, so we keep the batter in the pantry instead of the fridge. So pantry means a large kitchen cupboard. Next word, visualize. Visualize. So this is a verb, means to imagine or have a picture in your mind of someone or something. To have a picture of someone or something in your mind. For example, so the psychologist told us to visualize our ideal house and tell him about it, to try to draw a picture of your ideal house in your mind. Next word, stumble. Yes, so this word is a verb, means to hit your foot against something when you were walking or running and almost fall over. So for example, about this word, we can say, it was dark last night, so I didn't see my brother's bike and I stumbled over it. So I almost fell over. After that, we can go to the next word, essentially. Essentially. So here, we can say that essentially equal when you consider the basic or the most important part of something. So here, for example, we can say, essentially, the key to success is hard work. So here you are talking about the most important point of something. Essentially, the key to success is hard work. After that, we have this verb, associate. Associate, to make a connection between people or things in your mind. So here we have an example for the verb associate. For example, I always associate the smell of roses with my mother's garden. So associate means to connect between two things or people. Next word, maneuver. Maneuver, to move something to a different position using skill. So here, maneuver means to move something. For example, we can say that our driveway is very narrow. So it's very difficult to maneuver the car. It's very difficult to move your car. After that, next word, we have this word, benefit, to receive an advantage from something, or something is useful for you. To show the meaning, we can use this example of the word benefit. We can say that everybody will benefit from the government measures to save the economy, or everyone will benefit from the new mobile phone because it will be very useful for you. And the last word, apply. This is a verb, means to make a practical use of something, to apply something, to make a practical use of something. So here we can say that, for example, about the verb apply, the rules apply to secondary students as well as primary, so they should obey the rules. So apply, to make a practical use of something. After the words, we can go to the grammar lesson of this unit. We can start with talking about this part, past simple and present perfect. We can use the past simple to talk about a completed events in the past. If something happened and vanished totally in the past, so we can use past simple. For example, I visited my aunt last week, so this is a vanished action in the past. We used past simple in this example. But what about the present perfect? When can we use the present perfect? Number one, we use present perfect to talk about how long the situation has existed. If you want to express about the period of the time, we can use present perfect. So I can say, I have been at his school for 6 years. I have been at this school for 6 years. So here I'm talking about the duration or the period of the action. Number two, we can use the present perfect with experiences in the past when the exact time isn't important. So when we need to talk about the experience in the past without talking about the time or the exact time. So here, for example, my brother has met his friend. So we didn't mention the time, so this is present perfect. Number three, we can use the present perfect to talk about events that are connected with the present. So still we have an affect in the present. Number one, for example, I have lost my watch. Have you seen it? That means that until now I didn't find it. So this is connected to the present. Jane has already done her homework. Here it is. So she has recently finished her homework. So this is related to present. And be careful about this note. We can say that we often use finished past time expressions with the past simple. For example, yesterday, 3 months ago, last week, in every previous year. So here, this is finished past time expressions. We can use them with the past simple, but we can use unfinished past time expressions with the present perfect. For example, for, since, already, yet, just, we have recently, and we can go for examples. I went to Paris in 2006. So this is a very completed action and finished in a year in the past. So this is past simple. Number two, I haven't been to Paris yet. So this is present perfect. Number three, she has been here since Tuesday. So here we used present perfect with the expression since. And by the way, from these examples we can find that the form of present perfect is, we can use have with plural subjects or has with the singular subjects, and after them we can use the past participle form of the verb. And after that, after we talked about the difference between past simple and present perfect, we can go to the next part. We can go to this part to talk about the present perfect continuous. And by the way, we use the present perfect continuous to talk about, number one, an action that began in the past and is still in progress. So something started in the past, but it's still happening until now. For example, I have been working for this company since 2000. That means that I started working in 2000, and this is in the past. The start was in the past, but I'm still working in that same company. Number two, we can use the present perfect continuous to talk about an action that has recently stopped and which explains the present situation. So maybe the action stopped a short time ago, but explains the present situation. For example, he has been running, so he is really tired. So of course he stopped running recently, and that explains for us why he is tired at the moment. So an action that has recently stopped but explains the present situation. or here's a note, you can read that. We need to note that we only use the present perfect continuous with actions which happen over a period of time. With finished and complete action, we use the present perfect simple. So, for example, we have been living in London for 12 years. We here are using the present perfect continuous because we are still there now. But in example number 2, they have lived in Dubai, Paris, and New York. They aren't there now, so we used present perfect. So we use the present perfect continuous with actions which happen over a period of time. But if there is a finished or completed action, we use the present perfect simple. And we often use the present perfect continuous with how long. If we ask how often or how much or how many, we use present perfect simple. So, how long has she been sleeping? So here we are asking about a period of time, how long. But if we are asking about how many times or how much or how often, we will use present perfect simple. How often have you worn this suit? How many English lessons have you had? And don't forget this point. We can say that we can't use present perfect continuous with the stative verbs. Don't forget that point. Do you remember the stative verbs? We talked about them before. Stative verbs, they are the verbs which we can't add ing to them. So here we can't use the present perfect continuous with the stative verbs such as like, love, know, remember, understand, and you can remember a lot of stative verbs from Unit 1. And we can remember together, or from the examples, we can find out that the form of the present perfect continuous is, we can use have or has, and then we will add been, and then we will add ing form of the verb. So here, for example, it was here, I have been working for this company since 2000. So here, have or has plus been plus verb ing. Here, have or has plus been plus verb ing. And to practice what we said, we need to answer this exercise. Rewrite the following sentences. Number 1, Mom started cooking from 12 o'clock. Now it's 3 o'clock and she's still cooking. So something happened in the past and took a long time, but is still happening until now. How can we use the word been? Okay, the right answer is Mom has been cooking since 12 o'clock. So we can say that we used present perfect continuous have or has plus been plus verb ing because the action is still happening until now. And if you want to use the word for here, you can say Mom has been cooking for 3 hours. Number 2, he danced all night with his friends. He's very tired. So here, this action recently stopped but expresses or explains for us the present situation. So we will use present perfect continuous. The answer is he has been dancing with his friends all night. By the way, the word all is a very important word to remind you to use present perfect continuous. Number 3, he hasn't finished yet, although he started working since 5 o'clock. So this is an action that hasn't finished yet? The right answer is he has been working since 5 o'clock. We used present perfect continuous. Number 4 and the last sentence. Mr. Ali worked here in 2000 and he's still working, so unfinished action. How can we use has? Will we start here to think about present perfect simple or continuous? Of course, we will use present perfect continuous because it's still happening until now. Mr. Ali has been working here since 2000. And at that point, we can say that we talked about the new vocabulary of Unit 4, and we talked about the contrast between past simple and present perfect in the usage of each tense of them. And then we talked about the present perfect continuous, about the form and how can we use it, and the difference between present perfect continuous and present perfect simple. And at that point, I can say that we finished that session for Unit 4 in your Aim High book. And I wish everything is clear for you. Next time, wait for me, and of course, I'm waiting for you.